Hey guys, and welcome back. In this video, we're installing N8N using Docker. N8N is a powerful open source no code automation tool. It can be used to automate a wide variety of tasks from simple data manipulation to complex multi-step workflows using drag and drop nodes. It supports a wide range of integrations with popular applications and services. After the installation, we're going to walk through an example of workflow using some AI tools to just touch on some of the things that are possible. So buckle up, hit the subscribe button, and let's get to it. Let's go ahead and get logged into my server here. And the first thing we need to do is get everything up to date. Now that everything is up to date, let's clone the GitHub repo using the command in the description below. And now if we run an ls, we should see a new folder called N8N. Go ahead and change into that folder. Do another ls-a for all. And this is going to list out all of the files. We have the caddy file, a data folder, Docker compose file, and our environment file. And the first file we need to update and modify would be the caddy file. If you're using VS Code like I am here, you can just type in the word code and then the file name. Otherwise, you can nano the file name. And the email address here just needs to be the email address you're going to use for your SSL certificate. And then below that, the next line will just be the domain name you're going to be using. I created a test domain over at DuckDNS that we're going to be using. Once you've entered your domain name, go ahead and save this file. And the next file we need to update would be the environment file. Once again, we can just code.env. Host name needs to be the same domain name you just entered in the caddy file. You can adjust the port to whatever you like. Just make sure you update it in the caddy file as well. I would just leave it at 5678 if it doesn't conflict with anything else. But again, if you update your port here, make sure you update it in your caddy file. The N8N protocol needs to stay at HTTP because our caddy reverse proxy will switch this over to HTTPS, which is why the webhook tunnel URL will stay at HTTPS. Just again, go ahead and enter your domain name here. And the final thing you should need to update would be the time zone. It's already correct for me, so I'm going to go ahead and save this file. And now we can spin up the containers with Docker compose up --d. The N8N image file is rather large, so depending on your internet connection, it may take a while. In order for caddy or any reverse proxy to work, you must forward ports 80 and 443 from the outside world to your reverse proxy in order for it to route the traffic appropriately. It's a different process for each manufacturer. For specific instructions, see your router or firewall's manual, or just search YouTube for your device model and port forwarding. Alright, now that our containers have started, we can go over to our browser and browse to our domain name that we set up. And here we are. We can go ahead and set up our user. And we don't need to select anything here. You can go ahead and click on Get Started. And this is the dashboard for N8N. We're going to create a workflow with ChatGPT to create a story about a mouse. And then we're going to send that story over to ElevenLabs for audio processing. And then from there, we're going to save the processed audio file to our Dropbox. And then honestly, we'll be able to do whatever we want with it from there. So with any workflow, the first thing we need is a starting point. We'll start manually. Next, we'll get an OpenAI node. This is going to be a text action. We're going to be creating a completion. At the top, we need to specify our OpenAI credentials. So head on over to my OpenAI dashboard. And then from here, we can just create a new key. And now we're going to copy this API key. Now we should be done here. Go ahead and paste the API key in here. For organizational ID, we can just leave this blank and go ahead and click Save. You should get this green banner showing that it was connected successfully. Go ahead and close this up. Next, for our resource, we're going to be using chat. And for our operation, we need it to be complete. For this example, we're just going to use GPT 3.5 Turbo, and now we're going to add a message. We will send this message as the user, and the message is just: write a charming story about a tiny mouse named Whiskers who finds a creative way to navigate through a house, sneak a piece of cheese from the kitchen, all while avoiding the family cat and making a heartwarming new friend along the way. So we're going to simplify this, and I am going to add a maximum token limit so that we don't just eat up my API key. And then we can go ahead and click on test step at the top here. And we can see on the right, we have somewhat of a story. Once upon a time in a cozy house nestled in a quiet street. Now we can go back to our canvas on the left. Next to our OpenAI, we need to create an HTTP request. And this is going to be a, back and make sure this is connected. There we go. And this is going to be a post request. Let's go ahead and head over to ElevenLabs' webpage. I'll leave my affiliate link in the description below. And in the bottom left-hand corner here, we have our account. We'll go and click on that and click on the profile. And then the little eyeball in the middle here will expose our API key for ElevenLabs. Go ahead and copy that. Now go ahead and click on the documentation link right above it. This will pretty much build out everything we need for N8N. So for the header, go ahead and enter your API key. Go under path. We need to enter a voice ID. I'll leave a link for this in the description below as well. But if you go to this link here, it will show you the different voices and the voice IDs. So we're just going to grab Rachel here at the top. Grab the voice ID and pop it in here. And the next thing we need to go to is the body of the message. You can run a get query on that V1 models to pull down the models. The one we're going to be using today is just the ElevenLabs monolingual V1. Text, we can just leave test for now. And for the similarity boost, I have discovered a 0.7 here, seems to work fairly well. And the stability needs to be about a 0.75. And that should do it. We can actually copy this in the top right hand corner, copy this curl script and move it over to N8N. And there's an import curl button at the top here where we can paste it in and just import it. Doing it this way though, we're not able to use N8N with the fields and the previous nodes. So instead of using a JSON for the body, we're going to switch this over to use the fields below. And then all we really have to do is just transpose the fields from this page. So for the model ID, because we are down in the body now, fields below be the model ID. That was 11 monolingual V1. Add a new parameter. Do the same thing for our text. We'll just leave that value blank for now. Add a new parameter. Do the same for similarity boost and the stability. Similarity 7. And now the cool thing with N8N that we can do is instead of entering static text here that we're going to send over to ElevenLabs, it's from the previous node. We have the content, and then we can grab the content, drag it into the value, and now whatever the previous node's content is here is what will be sent as the value HTTP post request to ElevenLabs. It even gives you a little preview here at the bottom of what's going to be sent. And with that being said, we should be able to go ahead and click on test step at the top here. And there's our file. We should be able to go ahead and click on view.
Once upon a time in a cozy house nestled on a quiet street, there lived a tiny mouse named Whiskers. Whiskers adorned with delicate white fur and a...
And now that we have our file, we can take this to the next step. We'll go back to our canvas, over a little bit here, and next will be our file node. So go on the plus box here, and we're going to use Dropbox for this example. And for Dropbox, we're going to be uploading a file. And just like before, we need the credentials. So let's go ahead and head over to Dropbox. Go to Settings, Apps, App Center. And since we don't have any apps, we're going to build one. And we're going to create an app on the left. For this example here, we're going to go ahead and give the scope full access to the Dropbox. Give it a quick name, Story Tester. And before we scroll down and generate a key, we need to first go into permissions here at the top and enable the file write permissions so that our app has permission to write to our Dropbox. Be sure to submit it at the bottom. Now that we have our saved permissions, we can go back to settings and generate our API key. Now we'll copy this and move it over into N8N. Go ahead and save this. We should get the green banner again. There it is. So we're connected to Dropbox now. Go ahead and close out of this. And now the action is file upload. Give it a path. We'll name it story. And we'll call it mouse.mp3. This is a binary file. And we'll have it pull the data from data on the left here from our input HTTP put request to ElevenLabs. This is the response. Input binary field is the data. And now we just go ahead and click on test step. And it looks like it went through. Got a green check on the output. Back at the top, we'll go to the Dropbox. Head back over to Dropbox. And there's our file. Didn't seem to create a folder called, hold on, let me make sure I'll type that right. I accidentally put a period instead of a forward slash. Let me change that and we'll test it again. Okay, so now this time, let's go back. Now we have a folder called story. And inside of it, we have our mouse MP3. And then if we play it.
Once upon a time, in a cozy house nestled on a quiet street, there lived a tiny mouse named Whiskers.
And there we are. This is just the tip of the iceberg of the things that we can do with N8N. Switch back over to it real quick. Back to the canvas. There are tons of services and other softwares that this thing can connect to. And pretty much if it has an API key, you can talk to it in some form or fashion using N8N. So hopefully this will be helpful to you guys out there. Maybe a Zapier or an if replacement. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And as always, thanks for watching.